Yo, what's up, everybody? You are tuned into another episode of Access Granted. Your boy, Mr. Antoine's in the building. I was literally about to go to a plan B and start playing this real dope KRS-One live video that I saw. And literally, just as I was about to click go live, this beautiful young lady hopped in the green room. And so now I don't have to go to plan B. I can go straight to my sister who's in the building. It's energy. What's going on, sis? Oh yeah, you
got the glare.
Flyness personified as always.
Thank you so much. I am happy to be here.
It's
been a long day.
So it has, and it's crazy, L, because I hit you up and I was like, it's been a minute. I mean, we probably gone through about 4 or 5 ceasefires since the last time, and maybe more than that since the last time.
If it's been more than a year,
it's been weird.
Yeah, then we might have gone through like 8 ceasefires.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, you never came to the station on Bel Air Road with me.
No, I had not had the pleasure.
And you weren't at the station in Bermuda, so we were probably in Middle River at WMSK the last time. So we're talking like, yeah.
Oh, that was a few gray hairs ago. That was some COVID pounds ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm gonna stomp you on your pinky toe if you ever stay away that long again.
you know, sis been grinding. She's been. I feel like I've been through a personality overhaul though. Like I'm not anything like I used to be since 2019.
I mean, is that anything you care to get into? Care to share?
Yeah. We definitely. Yeah, you know, I'm open book. I'm
all right,
and I answer.
So we'll get to that. But look, this is how I wanted to start because this is going to die. So I remember some years ago when you had myself and a couple of members on that were in a play that I was on. You had us on your show. And I remember you giving us a real fun, like, multiple choice test of some stuff. And so, hey, Jamae, what's going on, sis? Real cold Baltimore in the building. I wanted to start tonight's show off with a couple of Q&As for you.
Okay.
Real fun, real simple.
Let's go.
All right, so, and I think you asked me a question similar to this. Coffee or tea, and if it's tea, which flavor? If it's creamer, if it's coffee, which flavor creamer would you prefer?
No, I'm a tea gal. My body can't handle the caffeine that's in coffee. I can't do that. I'm gonna be a different person if I'm drinking coffee. So definitely tea. Okay. I like hibiscus tea, and I have to have lemon in my tea. Have to have lemon. I try to avoid sugar in my tea, so I gotta have honey.
Wow, hibiscus, interesting.
Yeah, it's from a flower. It's an acquired taste. If it's not something that, you know, if you're a black tea drinker, you might spit it out the first time.
I got you. It's an acquired taste. Favorite color?
So my favorite color has changed. I am leaning towards turquoise. I love turquoise. It's just beautiful. It do something to me when I see it. Yellow is another one of my favorite colors, which is interesting because back in the 90s, I hated yellow.
That's my wife's favorite color.
Yeah. Orange. I've grown very, very fond of orange. So like those three are they're my top colors.
Okay. Favorite comfort food?
Pasta.
Whew.
Pasta. That's how I That's how I went from a size 4 to a size 6. Give me
I'm not mad at you.
bread and the Alfredo and the scampi and just all of it.
I am not mad at you at all. Yes, I'm a pasta lover. I can do spaghetti, lasagna, scampi, any
rigatoni, penne,
rigatoni,
like
stuffed shells. Yeah, any kind of yeah. So this is the one that I was really interested in. So I want 2 MCs and 2 singers that would form your Baltimore only supergroup.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 singers and 2 MCs. Ooh, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so MCs, I'm gonna go with Easy Jackson.
That would be one. Yeah.
And it's a toss up between Miss Kitty and Adonna Black. They sound powerful MCs. Powerful. Yeah. So they would be my MCs. Singers. Ooh. Jonathan Gilmore comes to mind. Because Jonathan just got like this. He got like this crooner / church / soul / like that brother can.
With a little dash of swag on top.
Listen, he got the swag is sprinkled all across the top. That brother can blow. And I don't know why my mind is drawn away because I can picture the woman singing. I can picture her singing.
We can pass. We can pass.
You know what? No, I'm gonna go with. She's not even here in Baltimore anymore. Her name is April Sanpei.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go with April because April. Sis got some lungs on her. She can, and she's an entertainer.
I think I still have one of April's albums on my phone that I used to listen to on a regular. Yeah. I knew Easy was going to be a part of that though. I knew Easy was going to be a part of that. All right, so
I'm gonna tell you just like real. It's kind of not fair to just do 4. I know why we do.
I know. I didn't want you to do a whole Wu-Tang Clan because then you would have to get.
I'm gonna put together everybody. Well, not everybody, but it's people gonna be in there. Yeah.
I was expecting to hear Chenier in that.
Okay.
And Miss Kitty is definitely the surprise. But Miss Kitty is a monster. I remember when I first met her. My buddy, shout out to my man, Last Born Child. He put together a cipher.
Yeah.
And it was right up here off of Bel Air Road, not too far from where I live. At Voice, the Go Getters, Dark Ball spot.
Yeah.
And I just remember, Kitty was like 3 hours late in true Kitty fashion. But I remember when she walked in, I was like, "Yo, who is this chick that looked like she just left the club, and who is she here with?" And like 5 minutes later, she got on the mic, and I was like, "Oh!"
She give you head to toe.
Yeah.
And she's lyrical, which is interesting because her daughter's name is Lyrical, but she is lyrical in a way that, and it's again between her and Adonna Black, because Adonna Black is lyrical.
I'll have to check her out because I don't think I've heard anything of Adonna. I have to check her out.
She's lyrical and thoughtful and insightful and introspective. Kitty wrote the Baltimore Girls theme song. And Adonna wrote another. It wasn't like the official theme song, but it was like Al. When we were doing Baltimore Girls, it was like Al thing. And yeah, them 2 sisters are musically amazing.
So, if you started your own show today, give me a bucket list of 3 people that you would have to interview.
This is where we're gonna go left. Because This is where I am very different from
Good.
who I
Different.
was before, because when I first started doing rap sessions and radio, I had this curiosity about people, and I just really wanted to get to know people and find out who people are, and like ask them, basic questions and other
Mm,
questions. And
yeah.
now I'm just like, okay, y'all cute. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't. I'm not interested in getting to know people as much anymore. People kept telling me like, "Yo, you need to come back to radio. You need to come back to radio," and I was like, yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah, I think I asked you that a long time ago, and you definitely showed
Yeah,
0.09% interest in
and
doing it.
so and then people talked about doing a podcast, and I know. So for people who say, if it's something that you're good at, if it's something that you're gifted, if it's space where you're gifted, it doesn't matter that the market is saturated. There is a lane for you. And while I understand and respect that, a lot of it just sounds like noise to me now.
Mm,
And so there is something deep on the inside of me that's like, and it just keep whispering, like, don't contribute to the noise. Don't
mm,
contribute. And I don't know whether or not that thing is a thing that's keeping me from my greatness, or if it's wisdom. I don't know which one of the two of them. I just know that whenever I entertain the idea, because we even talked about doing a ceasefire podcast where we would, the same thing, highlight people who were doing amazing things,
mm,
talk to people who have lost their loved ones, like though, and the idea came, and I was like, somebody else gonna have to do it. I
mm,
just like I can't find whatever that thing is to get me over the hump to actually do it. I can't find it no more.
mm. I can definitely relate to that. I can
Mhm.
understand. I can understand. Because it was kind of part of the reason that I left radio initially, and that didn't last long.
Right. No. You definitely. Hey, Miss Cicely.
That's the wife saying, "Hey,
Yeah,
yeah,"
I see
because
you.
I had stepped down from the radio, like literally just as the pandemic started. Like I think my last show was like March the 14th.
Yep. And then that
2020.
following Monday, the world was shut down.
Yeah, because that following week we started working from home, so it was literally
Hmm.
just around that time.
Yep.
And by like November, I was like, yo, I gotta talk to somebody. You know what I mean?
Right. And you were just getting started. You were getting your feet wet. And so like the enthusiasm that you had about it, I understand like pausing it, but this is something that like tickles you down on the inside and gets like your soul like, so like I can't see
Yeah.
you walking away from it but for so long. Like it's just like, no, I'm gonna figure out a way how to do it. It might not look exactly the same, but like I gotta talk to my people.
I found the way. I come down in my basement,
Oh, that's right.
laptop on, sit in front of my Kobe picture
Right.
with a cup of whatever.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking
This is
about
what I
there.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
I
have
just
the, but
I
I definitely understand, because if you don't have the passion, if you don't have that something that makes you kind of want to, just go for it,
yeah.
you're not going to give it your best.
And I
And so,
can't do it just because
no,
people
you're
want
not.
me to.
Right.
Like people were like, "Oh, you're gonna be the next Oprah." No, I'm not. Oh, you're gonna do, and that's not to say that I'm not. I do. I was just thinking about this a little earlier. Like there is a spark inside of me that I can tell that I'm there are great things that I am going to continue to accomplish. Like it's not that I'm going to sit down about anything.
Right.
Um, when I figure out what that thing is, I'm gonna hit the ground running. Like I'm gonna hit the ground running. I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna soar, and there's going to be and nobody is going to be surprised. It has to be the right thing. Like I've turned into so much more of an introvert. It's wow.
That's crazy. That's crazy. To
wow.
hear you say that is crazy.
Yeah.
To hear you say that is crazy, because the LNG that I know is yeah.
That was a super extrovert. Like I'm yeah, and now it's like there's something that's telling me to preserve my energy, preserve things that are sacred to me, and figure out how to give them to the world in a way where I don't leave drained, where I don't leave depleted, where I don't leave aggravated and resentful. And so I don't think like I'm in a cocoon right now. I do know that I'm in a space of like rest and reprieve. Because I'll go to work and come home and I have to tell myself sometimes, like, go outside. You gotta go outside, get some sun, get some and I'll be like, well, it's people out there. I don't think I wanna
you don't want to people today. You don't want to people today. I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you. So I've had the pleasure of chopping it up with you in this format quite a few times. And one thing that I thought about, Elle, is that I've never gotten like the LNG story, so to speak. And I'm not talking the LNG that's written down in front of you right now. And I'm talking about like the L period, N period, G period story. Of your Baltimoreness, and you're born and raised here. So give me the honor of getting a little bit of the background, because our story didn't start until 95.
Right, yeah.
So I know that there was a lot more, going on before then. So give me a little. I don't care if anybody else doesn't want to know.
Right. We talking right now. We talking.
Right.
So I was born in South Baltimore, a neighborhood called Fairfield. It actually doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly. The end of Patapsco Avenue on the other side of the bridge. I used to live there.
Did you?
Maybe that's where we know each other from.
That makes so much sense.
I lived in Fairfield Projects, and my first job was the Wendy's on Patapsco Avenue. We just solved the mystery that we could not figure out for 27, 28 years. Yes. Hey, Puddin', what's up, sis?
Oh,
yes,
my God.
that is the answer to the mystery. So I want to say, so now I got to give you a time. I want to say, I can tell you exactly. I was living in Fairfield when Lynn Byers died.
What year was that?
I'm getting ready to pull that now to give a frame of reference. Yes. 1986. So I was probably there from like 84 to 86.
Okay, and we moved.
I was actually catching the bus from there all the way to Walbrook.
Listen, I was catching the bus from there to Roland Park. So yeah, I was up at the ass crack of dawn, catching the 64 down to the 61, going all the way to Roland Park. Ooh, okay. So you know my route.
That solves the mystery that I've always asked. Where the hell do I know this girl from? Because it's always felt like we.
Yeah, like we knew each other before. Like, it's like I know you from somewhere, but I don't know exactly. Yeah. So there you go.
In fact, my townhouse. Look, my townhouse was directly across the street from the little multi-purpose center thing.
Oh, for real?
Basketball court. I lived in that corner house. Yep. Somebody shot through my window, sitting on the steps and they almost killed my brother. I wasn't home at the time, and my little brother was probably like 5, 6 maybe, and was literally just standing in the window facing the steps of that building.
Yeah.
And my mother said no more than 10 seconds after he walked away, that bullet came through the window.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so
I love you forever now. You
I mean, we F and F. We are F and F.
Is that around the time frame that you were out there as well?
I was there from 74 to 88.
That's definitely where we know each other.
I was there 74 to 88. We moved December 88 up on Bel Air Road near Moravia, and I stayed east. Did all of my teens and early 20s east, and then ended up West Baltimore, Monroe and Saratoga, and then moved to Reservoir Street, so the Reservoir Hill area, and then ended like Sandtown and then Irvington. So
you sound like me.
Yeah. I definitely was because even though I was I'll say intellectually mature, I was naive because like growing up in Fairfield, we were isolated from the whole rest of the city. Absolutely. And so a lot of stuff that people knew about, things that people were privy to, I feel like growing up there like sheltered me from a lot of different things. Some in good ways, some in ways that once I finally did get into the city, like I was working, I had my very first job working at McDonald's on Baltimore Light Street. And I was working there because I was being grown, hooking school, and got put out of Mervo. And my mother was like, well, if you want to be grown, then you're going to have to figure this money stuff out. So my boyfriend at the time, his sister was like a shift lead there. And so I was like, can you ask your sister to get me a job? And he was like, I can tell her to talk to the manager. So she went and talked to the manager. I interviewed. It was a white woman named Belinda. Belinda interviewed me, hired me on the spot. I started working there. My first check was $77. I was making $3.
Trying to take it for my 70 cents. Trying to take it for my 70 cents.
When Martin said that, I fell out because I was like, that's exactly how much my first paycheck was.
Trying to get me for my 70 cents.
And there was this, working, we right there by the inner harbor, and there was this guy, guys and girls and stuff used to come in there, and this guy he used to speak all the time, and he was like, he wasn't trying to hit on me or nothing. He was like, we should go to the movies, and I was like, all right, that's cool. I'm green, like emerald green. He's like, my homeboy got the hook up. He worked at the movie theaters. He got the hook up on the tickets, so we can walk to. It was over Flag House Projects. He's like, we can walk over there and get the tickets because he got these coupons for like free food and all this other stuff. So I'm walking over there with him, and he was like, I gotta go up in the building. Your money, I'll be right back. I gave him my $10. And I stood there for like 6 minutes, and I was like, he's not coming back. He just took my money. And then, so that, like, the epiphany of what happened, and I was like, oh, he was getting high. And he took my money and went up in the building. And so I turned around and I left. And I don't know that I've seen him since then. But, like, it was stuff like that used to happen to me. Because I was like, why would people lie? Like, what reason do they have to? Meanwhile, people lie about all kinds of stuff, and so yeah. So that was.
Let me tell you. I had a guy one day down by Old Town Mall come up to me and ask me if I had change for a 20. And I had change for a 20 on me. I gave him the change for the 20, and he gave me a bill that was folded up in 3 sections, and it was a $20 cut off $20 on the top. And I swear to you, by the time I opened that up and realized that sucker gave me $1 and turned to go back to look at him, he was gone. It was like he vanished in the air.
Yeah.
So
they wasn't
that
playing.
was like one of those lessons that I'm sure you learned from the $10 giving it to the brother going up in the projects. Like, yeah.
If I would have said that out loud to anybody that I was working with, they'd be like, "Girl, you dumb. What are you doing? Don't go with him." And because he would come in there all the time, and there were people who would come in there. Wombat. That's how I met Wombat. So Wombat knows me because he used to come in that McDonald's all the time and would speak and how you doing, and so like, yeah,
And I used to be in that McDonald's quite a bit, so I might have gotten the,
you I'm sure you have. I worked there. I worked there through. I was 16 when I started working there. I left after I had my daughter when I was 18. So we was there. I was there for a while.
That's crazy. I'm still tripping off this Fairfield connection.
Yeah. I'm actually not surprised. Like now that I think about it, I'm not surprised because when I worked at the state office building, when we both worked there together, I was like, I don't know him from school.
Both said
know him from like, it's not from like McDonald's, like it's not from that, like it gotta be from somewhere way back.
We knew that we had been around each other and just more than passing.
That's right.
Yeah, we knew that.
And Fairfield was that neighborhood that you knew like if you didn't know somebody, I don't know who they are.
Absolutely. And like you said, it was so isolated from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
That ride down Patapsco Avenue felt like you were going to another city.
Listen, and I fell asleep one day on a bus coming home. You know how sometimes the bus would stop and it would go into a loop. And then sometimes it would go further down. And I just happened to be on a bus. I fell asleep, was on a bus one day, and it went to the terminal. And I probably was in the 6th grade, scared out of my mind. I'm crying on the bus because I don't know where I am. I can't get off the bus because the bus is stopped. The bus driver is taking his break. And I'm like, I don't know where I am. And the bus driver saw me crying. And he was like, the bus is going to
loop around.
Loop back around and you'll be able to get off.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. I have a lot of Fairfield stories. Most of them are bad. So
I'm sure.
Most of them are bad.
Did you ever go to the truck stop to get the fries with gravy on them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and climb up the cold hill. I messed up so many shoes climbing up that daggone cold hill.
My brother, yeah, because I only had one. I had a brother that went to the little elementary school that was behind there, and we were like back in that little neighborhood going towards the school. It felt like we were going to get lynched or we were going to get robbed.
Yeah.
Always felt like something just, that's dope.
Yeah,
that's dope. So, at what point did you start to just like develop this? I want to make a difference. Mindset.
Probably around 2009. I think 2009. So 2004 was a turning point for me, because that was when I realized that I needed to get my mental health together. So I was married at the time, was terrorizing. And I say that, I laugh about it now, but like it wasn't funny at the time. It was really, really bad. Terrorized my ex-husband, and he was just like, yo, you need some help. And I'm like, you need help. And he's like, bro, like, you need some help. And so I started going to therapy.
And I feel like that's the nice version of the way that you said that to him as well.
Listen, it was bad. Like I just got a hold of my emotions. And when I say a hold, I mean in a way where they don't run my life, like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just got. So going to therapy, realizing, okay, I am the common denominator in all of the BS that's going on in my life. And so I have to begin to take responsibility. And I will say to people, anybody that's listening, y'all heard me say that I started therapy in 2004, and it was 3 years ago that I feel like I just like got a hold of my emotions where they not puppeting me around and making me do stuff. And so I say to people all the time that the process of change and growth and evolution is, and I was aggressive about it. Like I had all the self-help books and I was going to group therapy meetings and all that stuff. And it still took me that long. And so
we're talking like 15 years.
Yes. And even now, still today, like I am different than what I was because of intention. And with the wrong triggers, I can easily revert back to, like, it's a lot of work to stay present in the version of myself that I am today. It is, and it's sometimes exhausting work because people are used to me being a certain kind of way. And because people are used to me being that way, whether they realize they're doing it or not, they try to bring the old version of me out. And I'm like, I'm not responding like that. I'm not responding in that way anymore. And because change is hard on both the person making the change and the person witnessing the change, the person witnessing the change looking at me like, this is unfamiliar to me. No, you gotta show me you gotta show me what I know. And I'm like, well, what you know is toxic. You sure you want to see that? And they like, but it's what's familiar to me. So that's a weird dance in and of itself. And I start back to therapy tomorrow.
Wow. So funny that you gave that timeline, because it was probably about that time when you used to go to work and go live every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be on your live almost every morning. And I remember looking at you and saying, this is a kinder, gentler Ellen. This is a kinder, gentler Ellen.
Yeah, a little less sassy, a little, it's a little calm down a little bit. But the catalyst, the question that you asked me was about the catalyst for change and wanting to help people. It started with me beginning the process of healing myself. And I wanted to share that with the world. I'm like, okay, like I've been through enough. And and some of it was my conditioning. Some of it is genetic trauma that was passed down. That's been passed down for generations in my family, that I had to make myself aware of so that I could do something about it. Some of it was social conditioning, society telling women who we can and can't be and what we should and should not be, and all of the different ways that I tried to resist that. So I literally took my own life and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to start doing rap sessions. So I'm going to bring women together so that we can sit and talk and, iron some things out and bounce stuff off of one another. And I kept talking about it. And men were like, well, we want to come. And I'm like,
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Right. Like, it's just for women. And I was like, all right, okay, well, y'all can come, but y'all can't say nothing. And then so men came and they wasn't saying nothing. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to make one for y'all where everybody can come and everybody can talk. And it was beautiful. And from that's how I started the radio show. Mm-hmm. I was like, all right, I'm going to take, and it didn't translate well at all. I thought I was going to take the rap sessions and bring them to the radio. And that's not how radio works at all.
Right.
And so even the show, The Evolution of Perspective, ended up evolving into, because I started meeting all kinds of people. So you never know who you're in the room with. And one of the things that was very important to me was to know that, like, who am I in the room with, listening to people's stories, listening to their full experience. And I'm like, other people need to know about this. Other people should know who you are. And that's how I started interviewing people on the radio show. And then it's difficult for somebody like me to be around people who are doing positive things and good work and to not get involved. Like, that's because I want to help. I'm like, oh, I like that. I should be doing it. Like, yes, that should be something that I should be a part of. Yeah. And so it was just a natural progression. And even though, like, I don't feel like I am a typical Baltimore girl that has had typical Baltimore experiences, I love my city.
Absolutely.
And like, I see spiritually what has happened to Baltimore. I see politically what has happened to Baltimore. I see racially what has happened to Baltimore. And I know, like, I have no aspirations to try to save the city. Like, that's not something that I want to do. But I do want to remind people here that, like, we get to decide who we want to be to one another. You know, we get to decide whether or not, with the information, because out of context, all you see is somebody who looks like you, and socially you've been conditioned to hate yourself. So of course you want to hate people who look like you. Socially, we've been hearing this narrative for centuries that we are invisible, unimportant, that we don't matter, that we are disposable, that we are troublesome, that we are a burden. And how often, well, how can people succeed if that's the messaging that's always coming down on them? And you don't even realize that that's the messaging that you're getting.
Right. Because you're so used to it. It's just like waking up in the morning and brushing your teeth.
Exactly.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
And so in that context, I'll use my experience as a Black woman. I wasn't raised to look at other Black women immediately as my sisters. Like, that wasn't the way that I was raised. I was socialized to see other women as competition for men. That's the way that I was socialized. And so a lot of the decisions that I made was based in that socialization. Now, take that and apply it to Black men who have been taught that they are not valuable, that they're not worth anything, that they are less than, that they are not important, they are not worthy. You see another Black man, and violence and aggression have been sold to you as power. So if I feel powerless, the first thing that I'm going to do is turn against myself. The next thing that I want to do is turn against people who look like me. And so when people say, like, I don't understand, I see it so plainly that the same way that I get up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I see my face, like, that's how plainly I see the issues that we're dealing with. And it's not always easy for me to articulate it because it's just so plain to me. It's like, yeah, of course they will be killing each other because they don't When have they been taught to value themselves? So if you haven't been taught to value, if you've actually been taught to devalue yourself, then of, of course you want to devalue people who look like you.
Right.
We have cognitive impairments, we have environmental impairments, we have psychological impairments, we have all of these things that have happened to us intentionally. And so, yeah, it makes sense to me that the stuff that's happening is happening. Like it, because 1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
So now we have to change the one and the one so that we can get a different two. And that's not always easy because remember, it took me 15 years.
Yeah. And you're starting again.
And I'm starting all over again.
Yeah. But I want to, so all of that would be like the perfect segue into the Baltimore ceasefire. But I feel like our Baltimore ceasefire the hell out of you and most of our people.
You can ask me anything.
But you mentioned the word power, and I was about to go there because when I look at you now, and this has been my mindset for years now. When I look at you, when I look at a sister like Ewanda, shout out to Erica. My sister putting us on. I see power in Black women. So my question to you is, when did you receive the power, if that makes sense? So when did you feel like you had gotten to a point where you overcame enough that you actually were able to take some of your power back? Because I don't think you ever really lost it all, but at some point you had to start taking that power back. When do you feel like you started to take yours back?
It was when I started going to therapy. It was back in 2004. That was the turning point. I say to people all the time that I like when I think about who I am today and all of the things that I've been through, it is hard for me to regret anything. And even when I was married, like that was a hard thing because that man put a mirror up to me and he did it in a way where I couldn't deny what I was looking at anymore. And it takes courage to strip down and really look at yourself and be like, all right, okay, it's me. Like not in a damning way, but like, all right, okay, so if I created all of this with that socialization, those mental health issues, those traps and all of that other stuff, imagine what I can create once I start shedding that stuff and I really start standing in who I am as a person, as a woman, as a human being. Like the sky is the limit. And so that's what that was, because I realized how powerful I was in my destruction. So I'm like, if I'm powerful in that, like, ooh, when I flip that around, that's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. And the dope thing that you said was that you realized at some point that you were the common denominator in everything that goes on. And I have people on Facebook, women on Facebook, Black women on Facebook that hate me because when they get on Facebook talking about this, all men ain't this, all men ain't that, da 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 da, and you telling me like you had 4 boyfriends this year and we're only halfway through the month of July, I just always put in the comment section that at some point, when do you stop and do a self-evaluation? When do you stop and look in the mirror and say, what is it about me that are causing me to attract these men that ain't shit?
So I'm gonna say two things.
Okay,
One,
sure.
yes, yes to what it is that you're saying. And two, this is something that I'm talking to my 20-year-old, trying to get her to understand about dating, mating, relating, and all that. It's been my experience that women have been socialized from a very young age to be relationship oriented. So all of the stories, all of the narratives, all of the everything that we get is get a man, find a man, keep a man. You know, you are defined by who you're in a relationship with. So that informs a woman serial dating, serial relationship, serial monogamy for me. Like that puts that in that context. Men have not been socialized to be relationship oriented.
Absolutely.
They've been socialized to, value their friendships, to value their connections with other men, to value their autonomy, their ability to do. And yeah, a relationship is somewhere in the back of their mind, but it's not in the forefront like it is with women. Right. And so what I see is this: you got the woman coming full-fledged relationship on her mind. And you got a man who is like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be doing a relationship thing, but like, you ain't gotta put it in my face like that. Like, calm down. Like, I got, it's other women out here. It's other, like, and
we just met yesterday.
So if all my life I've been socialized as a heterosexual woman to believe that my identity is wrapped up in my relationship, guess what I'm gonna always be pursuing? Relationships. I'm always going to be looking for a man because that's the thing that I've heard. Oh, she can't keep a man. What's wrong with her? She's beautiful, but she can't keep no man. Like it's and so, and I cannot ignore that Black men, in my experience, don't usually want to settle down until they in their 30s and 40s. Like and some of them later than that. And so you have women in their 20s and 30s who are like, that's their thing. Like, I want to have babies. I want to be somebody's wife. And the men are like, I mean, you come stay tonight, but like, all right, okay, all right, you done weaseled your way into, okay, all right, you can have a key. All right, it's not that. So I understand why there's always this clash. Because until we either socialize women the way that we socialize men or socialize men the way that we socialize women, our priorities are not ever going to match. If y'all tell me in your 20s, no, you're not supposed to have a whole phase. You're supposed to be in a committed relationship, but you tell my counterpart in their 20s, you're supposed to have as much fun as you possibly can. We're not ever going to be on the same page.
Right.
Ever. Like, it is impossible to be on the same page because we've been socialized differently. And so, yes, women are responsible for the men that they pick, and men would do women they would do them a solid if they did not engage with them, because men know what they want. Like you know whether or not this is somebody who you want to deal with. If she not what you looking for, like, just don't entertain her for sex, don't entertain her for company, don't entertain her for anything, because she is of the mind like, no, this is a relationship. We are doing this so that we can get to a certain point, and that's why I'm entertaining you. But it's complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
That's another whole show, actually.
It's a whole nother show.
It's a whole other show. But I appreciate and respect your perspective. And as you were saying that, it made a lot more sense to me. But at the same time, we still got some ratchets out here that just.
I mean, there's some women out here that just, the women just, they believe that the relationship is going to, it's the Disney thing. Once I find a man, I'm gonna live happily ever after.
Yeah.
And I tell my daughter now, you better find happiness outside your relationship. Because even if your relationship lasts forever, you still need to be happy outside of your relationship.
Yeah, and those are the ones that I'm referring to when I say that they're usually on social media, every day, all men suck, all men,
Well, all the men that they come in contact with do so.
Exactly, and that's why I said, and then at that point, you have to realize that that's something about you,
Yeah, because energy does meet itself where it is.
Definitely.
And that's hard to accept too. That the people that you are around can be a reflection of you. And it's not all, it's like sometimes water meets itself at its level. But we're not gonna act like there are not men and women out here who are not preying on somebody because they realize that person is vulnerable. Like it's and because I've seen it happen, and it has happened to me, that a person, you think that you're doing something good by wearing your heart on your sleeve, not realizing that there are people going around looking for people with hearts on their sleeves so that they can take advantage of them. And that's like, that right there was enough for me to be like, okay, all right, that's enough of that. Let me cover this thing up a little bit. Let me get a little bit more protective of myself. Like, I can't be out there, so desperate for companionship.
Yeah. I think we're all, guilty of both sides at given times growing up. But that's you live and you learn, and hopefully evolve. From that. That's the important thing. Is that
and not too late, and not do too much damage.
Yeah.
Not do too much.
Especially to yourself.
Well, to yourself and to others, because you can't apologize for everything.
Yeah.
There are going to be people who do not forgive you for the stuff that you've done. And so.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate, but okay, because all right, that's going way too deep. Baltimore Ceasefire. Let's talk about it, because I believe we have a weekend coming up, if I'm not mistaken.
5-year anniversary of the first time that we called a ceasefire, the first weekend in August this year. It's coming up. It's less than a month.
3 weeks.
It is less than a month. Hold on.
3 weeks.
August 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Okay,
so what we ask people to do for Ceasefire Weekend, obviously come get the flyers and posters, put the flyers and posters in places where it's visible. We make them available to people. They can come to the Mediation Center to get them. The Mediation Center is 3333 Greenmount Avenue. But we've arranged with Enoch Pratt Library. So like the main library branch downtown has Ceasefire flyers and posters, and some other branches. So you can contact the library to find out where. But flyers and posters plan what we call life affirming events. So life affirming means because the ceasefire movement is a self-determination movement. We don't tell people what to do. Well, the only thing that we ask for people to do is to not be violent. Like, just don't do that. But so for example, for some people, life affirming means staying your ass in the house. Because you beefing with somebody. You told that boy that it was going to be on site, and so it's staying in the house. For others, it might be throwing a block party, might be having a cookout with your family. It could be a resource fair. It could be literally anything. And if people are looking for opportunities to plan events where people know about what's going on, the ceasefire weekend is a really good weekend to do that, because whenever people send us events for the weekend, we put it on our public calendar, and the news looks on our calendar to see places where they can go to talk to people about the things that they're doing. And so it's kind of,
I'm sorry to cut you, but I've been very impressed at the way that the news has kind of.
That was intentional.
Yeah,
it was intentional.
And really make sure that they show coverage. We had this idiot that used to be the Baltimore police commissioner by the name of Ed Norris, and he has a show on 105.7 The Fan called The Big Bad Morning Show, which I listen to most mornings if I'm in the car. And he said that the Baltimore ceasefire was the most ridiculous idea he ever heard of, and I really wanted to pull up on Ed Norris. That's how. I was.
Let me explain. Let me explain something. This is something that we learned very early in the movement, and it's something that we it's what we live by. People have had journeys and experiences that have led them to believe the things that they believe, regardless of whether those things are supportive or if they are toxic. And so for me, it is that type of conversation is rooted in a few things. One of those things is hopelessness. And so you see people in the city trying to do something, regardless of whether you think that it's a good thing or not. You see people trying to do something, and your response to that is that you don't like it. You're entitled not to like it. I tell people all the time, the ceasefire does not have to be the thing that you support. There are literally thousands of other things that are going on in Baltimore City that are trying to change the trajectory and the narrative and the culture in the city that you can support. Now, if you don't support any of those things, then to me, okay, maybe you're just being toxic for the sake of being toxic. And at the same time, it's not my job to convince you why it's a good thing. It's not my job to convince you why you should support it. I want you, if you think it's dumb, talk about why you think it's dumb, because guess what? You're talking about it.
Exactly. And that's what he did not do. That ticked me off so much. Like, okay, bro, so you were the commissioner, and the city was
judge. It's cheap and easy to judge. Like, I have to, even with everything that I just said to you, I see things, I see people doing stuff, and I have to catch myself from being like, okay, that's not gonna work. That's not my opinion of it is just important to me, but it's neither here nor there. This man just happens to have a platform, and I'm gonna tell you something, because I know media tricks, and the ceasefire is one of the quote unquote darling movements in the city. So when you say something negative about the ceasefire, people come running to defend it. So it's if you want to talk trash about it, it's a real good way to get people fired up. And that's how you get your ratings up, and that's how you get attention, and that's how so like, and because I'm not inside of him, I don't know what his motivation is. It could be hopelessness. It could be because he knows and understands, if I talk trash about this movement, I'm gonna have people calling into my show, and now my show is high. You know what I mean? Like, so, bro, do what you do. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna still do the work. So
absolutely. Brother Walton is in the building. What's up, Darnell?
Darnell,
shout out to my sis Marie Mouzon. She says, "I love what the ceasefire stands for. Continue doing good and positive in the city, whether others are or not. They normally have something ignorant to say because they didn't think of it first. At least we are out here."
Yeah, Maria's amazing. She does amazing work in the city. She does amazing work.
And speaking of amazing work, I want to talk about the amazing work that you are doing as the Deputy Director
at Community Mediation Program, Inc., also known as Baltimore Community Mediation Center.
Yes.
I've been there for 10 months almost. And we've been around for almost 30 years, helping people to resolve conflict in ways that stick. I guess so imagine you and I have a conflict brewing. We agree to sit down at the table to talk about it. So like that's the first, like getting people to the table, because people got 101 reasons about why they don't want to come to the table. It's like, okay, all right, but you can just come to the table. We sit people down at the table with two highly skilled, some of the best trained mediators, not only in the state of Maryland, but in the country. And those mediators are there to listen, to reflect, to make sure that everybody at the table feels heard and understood, because the science says when people feel heard and understood in their conflict, they're more likely to resolve. So I'm sitting at a table, so I agree to come and talk to you about, is something going on and I don't really know exactly what's happening. It could be about dishes, it could be about rent, it could be about, you beat up my boyfriend. Like, it literally could be about anything. And as long as there is no credible threat of violence, so as long as you and I feel comfortable coming to the table to talk to one another, neither one of us feels like we are going to experience any physical harm, and we feel like we can speak freely for ourselves, we sit at the table and we iron out our conflicts, and it's free. The sessions are 2 hours. You can have as many sessions as you need. They don't police your language. So if you and I are sitting in there cussing each other out, like if that is the way that we're navigating our conflict, that's how we navigate our conflict, until we get to the point where like that part of it is not a thing anymore. And so you can come to what we call an agreement in a mediation. So at the end of all of your sessions, you and the other person come to an agreement about how y'all want to make sure that this conflict doesn't come back. The mediators don't tell y'all what to do. You literally are brainstorming all of the different things that we could possibly come up with as the experts in our conflict. And then you sign an agreement, and then we're done. And the agreement is it's a binding contract, because you and I came up with nobody, and we had to agree with everything that was on there together. So it can't be a thing on there that I say that we're doing and you don't agree with it, or vice versa. All mediations don't end in agreements, though, because sometimes all people need is to feel heard and understood. So if you and I are living together and there's some tension between us because I keep telling you to empty the cat litter, and every time I tell you to do it, you wait like 3 or 4 days to do it, and now we got nets in the house and all this other kind of stuff, and we sit down at the table, that first session, in that conversation, you might hear me say something, and you like, oh, I didn't know that's how you felt. Okay, you know what? I'm sorry. I won't do that to you anymore. And that's the end of the mediation. 30 minutes into it, and somebody says something, and we both are like, is this the reason that we here? And so it literally ranges from, things that people think are like petty, but there's nothing too petty to mediate about, or things that are really intense. So we go into the prisons and we mediate in the prisons for people who are coming home. And the research behind that shows that the first time a person mediates while they're in prison, I think their chances of recidivism are reduced by like 13%. And then each subsequent mediation they have, their chances of recidivism are reduced by like 7%. So if they have 10 mediation sessions, they're not going back to jail. And they can have as many sessions as they want and as they need, talk to as many different people as they need to, so that they can make plans. Because you coming home from jail and you thinking, oh, I'm gonna go live with my sister. I ain't talked to her about it, but I'm gonna go live with her. And then you come home and your sister is like, you can't live here. And that creates conflict and other things that, can send a person back to prison for a number of reasons. Yeah. We're in Baltimore City Public Schools. So we do these things called youth police dialogue circles, where we bring together a group of youth and a group of police for them to actually talk to one another, ask each other questions. And when I say get real, I mean get real with each other, so that they can humanize one another, so that when they see each other out on the street, this is somebody that I know. Yeah. We have parenting plan mediations. So if it's some baby mama, baby daddy, baby mama, like anything where children are involved and you want to make plans about how to best support the kids, we do mediations around that.
Figure out how you gonna bring all of the kids McDonald's and not just your kid.
Really? Those people were social medially brilliant. And we work with the state's attorney's office. So people have the option when they go to court. They can be presented with the option to mediate and still go to court, or mediate instead of going to court. So people have the option of being able to do that. We train people on conflict management. We have a whole thing that we do where we go into people's organizations and businesses and even individuals. We offer it to the community where people can learn conflict management skills, because where in our lives have we ever been taught conflict management skills? Where? We're taught if somebody hits you, you hit them back. That's how you manage your conflict. And so it is one of the things in Baltimore City, one, that I believe in, two, that I think that if more people were open to, it would mitigate a lot of the violence that we experience. Like, I know how hard it is to make yourself vulnerable to sit down, especially with some strangers. Like, I don't know these people, but the mediators are bound by confidentiality, so they can't talk about anything that you talk about in the mediation. They're neutral, non-judgmental. They're not even invested in your conflict. They just want to make sure you and the other person feel heard and understood. Get y'all to the other side of your conflict. When I do presentations about the mediation center, I always ask people, like, what is a reason that you have this resource available to you? What is a reason that you wouldn't use it? And people say a lot of different things. And so, like, we have work to do on our end to chip away at those barriers, because I promise you, I don't know anybody who has really participated in a mediation and walked away from it and was like, that was a waste of my time. Because it's just not. Like, it it is one of the best kept secrets in Baltimore City, and we don't want to be a secret anymore.
And as soon as you said that, I was going to ask, so how do we make this no longer a secret? Because especially the work that you guys are doing in schools, like that's so, you know what I mean? Like, I hate to say it, but kids are so angry. Kids are angry.
They got a lot to be mad about.
For a lot of different reasons that, you know, unless you know this kid personally, you have no idea.
That's right.
So how can we make this be not such a secret? One thing that Darnell says is that as a mediator, and I think that's very important. You're not going in and saying, well, you know, this side makes more sense than that side, whatever. That doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have to, you know, allow them, as you said, to be heard, because at the end, sometimes that's literally all we want to do is be heard.
Is be heard. And the people at the table are the experts in their conflict. I don't have any business telling two people that I don't know what they should and should not be doing.
Right.
That's not my business. My business is to make sure that y'all feel heard and understood so y'all can figure out how y'all want to work this out. Because when y'all figure it out, it's going to stick. If I figure it out for y'all, it's not going to stick.
Yeah.
So giving people space to, and for them to have the autonomy to make their own decisions, especially people in conflict. Like, I need to be able to say what I do and don't want to happen. And we need to agree together about how we will and will not move forward.
So you said that they're allowed to do multiple sessions, correct?
You can have as many 2-hour sessions as you need. The mediations, we are partnered with over 130 sites across the city. And so even though the mediation center is on Greymount and 33rd, if you live in Cherry Hill, we have a site in Cherry Hill so that you can mediate in Cherry Hill. If you live in Park Heights, we have sites in Park Heights so that you can mediate in Park Heights. Like, if we don't, that's one of the 10 tenets of mediation, is that the mediation should happen where the conflict is happening. Like, there's no reason why, if I live on Bel Air and Moravia, that I should have to go to Roland Park to get my conflict mediated. I want to be able to mediate in my neighborhood. I want to be able to. I don't want to have to drive 25 minutes to go do that. Like, that's not right. And so the only caveats to it is, and mediations happen 7 days a week. They are scheduled from 9 a.m. to start at 9 a.m. all the way to 7 p.m. And both parties have to agree to the date and time. Like, that's the only thing. We can't make people. So if you and I were in a conflict and I say, well, I only want to mediate on Saturdays at 9 a.m. and you're like, Ellen, I work every Saturday at 9. We can't make you go to a mediation Saturday at 9. It has to be at a time that everybody agrees on.
So first of all, Ellen, we would never be in conflict that we would need mediation.
I mean, conflict is natural.
No, right.
It's natural. No. It's the conflict escalating to violence and murder that's not natural.
Right. And I could be wrong, but I feel like if two people are at the point where they're even willing to sit down and talk, that's half the battle.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's half the battle to me.
It is. It definitely is.
If I feel like you wronged me in any manner, and I'm willing to sit down and talk to you,
yep,
there's a very good chance that, at least on my part, I feel like there's a very good chance that we can get through it.
Yeah. It's the getting people to the table part, like getting people to understand that even though you, like, right now in your conflict, you might feel unsupported. You might feel like they don't even see how this person was wrong, and nobody understands what I went through, except when you go to sit down at the table and you hear a mediator say to you, so it sounds like you feel unsupported. And you like, yeah, like, Yes, I feel unsupported. And then you say a little bit more, and it says, okay, so it sounds like you were looking for clarity and understanding around how the dishes get washed. Like it's some, Antoine, it's magic in it. Because it's so validating for people to be like, yes, and you know, I was only screaming because I felt like he didn't hear me. And it's like, okay, so it sounds like you know, getting your point across was, you know, that was a priority for you. Like, yes, that is, I promise you, it's magic. It's magic, and it opens people up in this way. Like one of my friends, I drank it. One of my friends,
Whatever it is you're looking for, it's gone already.
one of my friends told me that mediation was the most adult thing she's ever done in her life. She was beefing with this guy about some business that they had together, and they had not like beefing, but like it was tension between them, and there had been tension between them for like 3 years. And she finally, you know, after saying it to people, you know, maybe you should go to mediation about it. She went to mediation about it, and she told us it was the most adult thing she's ever done in her life.
And Darnell says that, and I'm assuming he's talking about the Baltimore Ceasefire team. All but one of you are mediators, actually.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. That's
yeah. So we, you know, Ogun is he's a public figure, mastermind. He got the beast not bullets thing. Like he is in his lane doing his thing. And so it's going to be a minute before we can actually get him to go through the training. Because in order to become a mediator, you have to pay for your training up front with volunteer hours, because the mediation training is a 50-hour training, but it's free. So people don't pay to go to mediation training. But the way that you pay for it is by doing a certain number of hours of volunteer work with the mediation center. And once we see, okay, this person is clearly committed to the process, then you can get invited to mediation training and become a mediator. You know, and you go through a brief apprenticeship, and then you start mediating. And it's this model is one of those models that, if you are, so two things, if you are open to learning a new way of thinking about things, and you can train your mind to use the skill, it'll change the whole course of your life. And I promise people that it is difficult to go through this training with an open mind and not use those skills in your everyday life. It's you actually have to you have to consciously not use those skills in your everyday life once you've gone through the training.
So this kind of sounds like you've intentionally yet unintentionally become better in your life as a result of the work that you're doing with the mediation.
Ain't it a beautiful thing? It's magic. It is a beautiful thing. You learn how to listen.
Donnell is killing the comment section right now. I wish that he was on either the page or the YouTube so that I could bring all of his comments up live on the screen. I think he's actually on my personal page, and you can't see the comments. Yeah. He's killing it. He says, when you can reflect on people's feelings and values in the midst of their conflict, that's when the magic happens. And
yeah, I one of our aspirations as an organization, because we recognize that Black men and boys are more vulnerable to more violence living in Baltimore City than other demographics. And so what our goal and what we will be doing is creating a program where we train Black men and boys on how to navigate their conflicts. So that 50-hour training that I told you about, that you go through and you get all of these skills. We have an idea that over the course of 3 years, I think it's and I'm definitely going to say this wrong, but I think it's 2,000 Black men and boys in Baltimore City over the course of 3 years for them to get conflict management and coaching skills, so that when they are in the world, they actually have the skills to be able to navigate their conflict without violence in a healthy way. And it's in a way that they don't feel devalued or disempowered, and the other person that they're in conflict with don't feel like that either. Because it's one thing for me to stand strong in my conflict because I know I'm right, but then the other person feels disempowered. Like that's not healthy conflict management.
Yeah.
But if we can manage it in a way where we both walk away with our dignity intact, you're gonna watch Baltimore become a very different place. Very different place. So yeah.
And I love the passion that I see when you talk about that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's I left Hopkins. I was at Hopkins for 20 years.
Yeah.
I left Hopkins when Erica offered me the position. I was like, I mean, I just told my boss that I wasn't going nowhere, but you know, if I can get up every day and contribute to this organization becoming and existing in the fullness of the greatness of it, the fullness of its greatness, if I can contribute to that and let that be the gift that I give to the city that I love, and I get paid to do it, oh, child, sign me up. Sign me up. Sign me up.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. I love it. All right, Ms. G, I said I was only going to keep you an hour, and I'm 20 minutes.
You know, we get to talk. We could talk. We could easily talk for 2.5 hours. Like, I'm not going to, but we easily could.
Easily, because we've done it for 2.
Right.
Several times. So, but no, for me, the amazing part about this conversation that we just had is that I've gotten to know a lot of you that I didn't know before. Like I said, every time you've come, it's been, like a week or so before ceasefire weekend. So that conversation is strictly ceasefire.
Right. Yeah.
And I intentionally didn't start off with the ceasefire.
Right.
And even when I had the chance to transition over to it, I didn't, because I still wanted to get to know, or wanted people to get to know, again, like I said, not the L and G that's written on the screen, but the L, the N, and the D period. And a lot of people still don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know the L and G are my initials.
Right, exactly.
When I say that to people, I watch it like click in there, and they're like, "Oh, I'm
me,
baby,
me."
I grew up with hip hop. Like that made all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah,
so,
live on air, you hit me with that. I was like,
now.
But yeah, just keep up the good work. Keep up the great work.
You too.
Keep up the great work. We need everything that you are. We need everything that you personify. My wife still talks about you to this day. My wife loves the hell out of you and Erica. My wife loves the hell out of you and Erica. My wife still talks about your birthday party.
Oh, the birthday party, baby. That 40 shorty was everything. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I still talk about the fact that I was on a picture with all of y'all, and you don't know it. Your wife knows it. My wife took the picture.
Right.
My wife took the picture.
Yeah, that might be epic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I think about it every time I ride past that building, which is not as often as I used to, but on a regular. I'm like, yo, we had fun that night.
It was what I wanted that night to be. I wanted people to leave with the like, damn, that was fun.
Yeah. And the dope thing about it is we was on a plane to somewhere. I don't even remember where we were going. Plane next morning. I was on that plane. When we woke up, we were in a different country. We had crossed the water and everything. I was on that plane knocked out, but That's just a reflection of how much fun we had that night. So if anybody is interested in getting mediation, if anyone is interested in being a mediator, etc., etc.
Yep. So mediation is community mediation, not to be confused with meditation, because people see it and read meditation. Yes. Communitymediation.org. On there, you can sign up to become a volunteer. If you sign up to become a volunteer, you'll meet Sam, our amazing volunteer coordinator. She is gold. She is worth her weight in gold. You can also use the website to sign up for mediations. If you want to sign up for mediations, you can use the website to donate. The same way that we used to tell people, tell 3 new people every day that a ceasefire is coming. We want to get people in the habit of asking people, don't you think you need mediation for that? Like when you see people in conflict, I think you could use mediation for that. And make that a thing in Baltimore, something that we become known for. With respect to the ceasefire, BaltimoreCeasefire.com is the website. You can get all of the wonderful information about the movement on that website. I don't really be on Facebook like that no more. I lurk on there every once in a while. Like if something moves me, I'll post. I post a picture to let people know that I'm still alive and I'm still cute. And
that's why I love you, yo. That right there is exactly why I love you, yo.
Yeah, but I be on TikTok. Like TikTok, I shouldn't say that I'm on TikTok. I make TikTok videos when I find a video that is funny, that I would enjoy reenacting. Then I do TikTok. But again, I've become way more recluse. Way more private. I'm like us people, and the way that society is going, I'm a sit this version of society out. I'm gonna sit this version out. I'm gonna wait until another wave come, and then I might pop back up. But I'm gonna sit this version out.
Donnell said you be on TikTok heavy. Gotta put that in quote. You be on TikTok. I feel like I need to get a TikTok account now so I can follow Ellen.
Yeah, it's my name on TikTok is Thundercat. My significant other and he told me this joke about this older lady who young man tried to hit on her or something and called her a cougar, and she was like, "Baby, I'm not a cougar, I'm a Thundercat." And I was like, "Oh, I like that. I'm a Thundercat, and I'm a Leo, and so that's
so it kind of Well, we have the 2 websites scrolling across the bottom of the screen as we speak.
Thank you.
Donnell, brother, you are the Spliff Star / Flavor Flav to all Baltimore Ceasefire interviews. I'm gonna need you to be on every time, and I got to get you up and chop it up with you, bro. I haven't had a chance.
Yeah. Darnell, I feel like Darnell is he's an exceptional guest, because you don't know what you're gonna get with him. You might get Deacon Darnell, and Deacon Darnell is people gonna be praising the Lord. They're gonna be praising the Lord when Deacon Darnell come through. You might get Darnell, the community advocate activist. And y'all think I'm passionate. Y'all ain't seen passionate till y'all see Darnell get excited about something. Like he is. He's my twin flame brother. Like we both fire signs. He's an Aries. I'm a Leo. We set shit on fire when we get together. So it's
yeah. I've connected with him in public quite a few times, and it's always love. It's always a great time. And of course, Angela, I've had her on the show before.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I gotta get AD. We gonna make that happen, bro. I promise you. You got my word. You got my word. We're gonna make that happen. Yeah. I'm actually.
So can I have a request?
Okay.
When you bring Darnell on the show, for you to make sure that you talk to him about fatherhood, brotherhood, and brotherhood, and husbandhood. Make sure that you talk to him about those three things.
3 great hoods to be in.
Yeah.
3 great hoods. Now, I get them scheduled. I'm gonna come back to you and ask you what's the 3 hoods because I might.
That's fine. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
We will definitely make that happen. I'm filling the calendar for August and September right now, D. So I'll hit you up, and yeah, we'll definitely make that happen. Yeah. But Miss G, man, every single time,
it's been amazing.
Always fun.
It's been amazing. And I just want to say out loud that I love you and I appreciate your obedience to your mission, because it is. I know doing this. I've done this, and it's not easy, and it's not. And sometimes it can feel like.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can feel like that.
It's those times when, because you have to remember, not only did I have radio shows, but then I started co-owning radio stations, which became a whole nother, and in addition to working 10 hours, to pay the bill.
Right.
Yeah, there were many of those days when I was like,
okay, so yeah, no, yeah. So I respect.
You literally hit the nail on the head with that look. That was how.
Yeah, because I know. So I respect and appreciate your obedience, and I love that you do this. I love that you have a genuine curiosity for people, and knowing them, and giving people a platform to like. That is a blessing, and you have been a blessing for the city in ways that if nobody ever said it to you before, like I'm gonna say it out loud, because you're not in the noise. You're not part of the noise.
All right, stop. Y'all get ready to make me cry, yo. Stop.
I'm serious.
In the comment section.
Yeah.
And you know what, Ms. G, the great thing about what I'm doing now is because I'm doing everything virtually, I've had the opportunity to connect with a lot more people in a lot broader spectrum.
Yeah.
Check the guest list, because you know. Check the guest list. But as I've always said, Baltimore is always home base. So no matter how many celebrities I have the opportunity to talk to, no matter how many, people that are doing different things around the country, I'm always going to show love to my city.
That's
like
right.
Always, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm always going to rep the city wherever I go.
That's right.
And because I love the city so much, and I have a true belief of what the city can be.
That's right.
It was those times when I was in other cities and people were talking about the wire and the drugs and the murders and all of that stuff all the time. I hated hearing it, but I love the fact that became Baltimore Flavor Radio, because I needed to show people more to our city than just that.
Right. That's
right. For it to move to this point now.
Yeah.
Pretty much like you said with your work at the mediation center, when you can just get up and just do something that you love and know and feel like you're making a difference. That's all that matters to me. I make a few dollars here and there.
No,
make a few dollars here and there, but
to get some cheese on it. I ain't mad about that.
I can supersize it when I go to McDonald's every now and then. You know what I mean? I get a check that pops up, every now and then, and I'll be like, whoa, I didn't know that many people was, but.
Right.
At the end of the day, if I never make a penny doing this, as long as I can continue to represent the city in a positive way, I'm gonna do it. So
that's right.
You always know that the door is open.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't just have to be a ceasefire weekend,
You had to invite me, because I promise you, I'm not. It's not. When you call, I come. So
we might have to make it a quarterly thing.
We can do that. Yeah, we definitely can do that.
Because then the ceasefire, so it'll have to be off ceasefire quarters.
That's fine. It's
You
and
know, so,
listen, it don't matter. It don't. It's there are so many like it's spirituality.
right.
I'll be in like actually into therapy by then and have some epiphanies about that. Like
And it's funny that you mentioned spirituality because that was something that I planned on getting to tonight, but we'll get to that on another one.
yeah, we're gonna get to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I appreciate you. The love is reciprocated tenfold as well. And you know the door is always open, man. So
Yes, sir. Thank
um,
you so much.
and Baltimore Ceasefire weekend again is
August the 5th, 6th, and 7th. It starts 12 a.m. on Friday and ends 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. If somebody gets killed during a ceasefire weekend, it is important for us as a city to wrap that family in love because we were collectively doing everything that we could to try to avoid that murder. So we want to celebrate life and have a balance of support for people in the city if they're hurting.
Are you, just before we get out of here, are you still doing the sacred spaces rituals?
I have not been doing sacred space rituals lately. Cause I told you I went in a house.
Gotcha.
But and people can request them. So if somebody they are available by request. If somebody wants, and we have ceasefire ambassadors who do sacred space rituals as well.
Okay. I will never forget the one. I can't remember the neighborhood you were in. I want to say it was up in the Park Heights area that you guys were in, and you had all of the little kids out there sitting around. That got me.
That was actually Poplar Grove.
Poplar Grove, okay.
That was Poplar Grove, near Poplar Grove and Emerson Avenue. A girl got killed, and the kids just came outside and sat on the ground with us with the sage, and they were praying. And people could say what they want about Baltimore, but you see that it'll change your life.
Yeah, it did. That was gut wrenching, but gut wrenching in a good way.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah, because we're gonna be till later. So
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Come on, G. Anytime. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. Darnell, Sis Marie, Puddin.
Hey, Puddin.
I kind of believe that we're gonna have an acapellas and acoustic segment. We could actually get Miss G up here to spit some bars and take care of that. But if I don't get one pre-recorded by this time tomorrow, then I will just play another replay on Friday. But at some point in July, we're going to get back to having some new ones. So I just got to get people's schedules, coincided. But we'll be back next Monday. Oh, shout out to my sister, Lenia Renee. How can I go without shouting her out? And I want to give an update real quick. The last show that we did, which was last Monday, I was on here and I was talking about a young brother by the name of Colin Hubbard, who at that point had been missing for 4 days in the park. Ex-church member of mine. He was found and returned home safely to his family, I believe, that following Tuesday.
Amazing.
Around there. We were actually, my wife was funny. I had my wife print up some flyers, some of the missing flyers, and we were about to go up and down the Bel Air Road corridor out to Parkville when we got the report that he was returned home. And my wife was like, "Y'all gonna use these damn flyers! Y'all gonna use these damn flyers!" And his mom was like, "Bring him to me, and we'll like wallpaper his room or something." With
Right. Be like, boy, don't do this stuff no more.
Yeah. But thankfully that young man returned home, and that didn't end the way that my spirit felt like it would end at the end of the day. So I wanted to put that out there and say, Colin, we love you, bro. I used to be a 14-year-old. I know what goes through the minds of 14-year-olds. So,
and it's rough for them in 2022. I would not want to be any age but the age that I am right now.
Yeah, it is. And as I told a couple people, I was like, because in situations like that, people always want to ask questions. And I was like, for me, the why he left, the where he was, that didn't matter. Like,
That's not any of our business.
Yeah, if you know, if at some point I'm having a conversation with him or a member of his family and that information is given to me, that's fine. But at that particular time, that information didn't matter. My only concern was bringing that young man home safely, and he's home. And that's all that matters. We out of here. I love you, El.
I love you too.
El, don't let him get you for your 77. All right, sis. I appreciate you, man. Love you much. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Don't let him get you for your 77. I say I appreciate everybody that checked in today, man. I will be back next Monday with a brand new show. I love you guys, man. And even though it's not a ceasefire weekend, I've been saying this for a while. Baltimore, put the damn guns down, man. We need to stay safe. I love you guys. We out.